And then the president smiles when he does it. As soon as he calls it the war cry of Allah. Is that what that is when he said that?
It is the war cry of Allah. He said it without knowing what he was saying. But throughout history, the Islamic history of 1400 years, every time Muslims conquered a place or a location, they would stand and read the Fatiha, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, basically declaring the greatness of Allah over that land. So what the father of Bergdahl did exactly that, which the Taliban and the Islamist radicals all throughout the world will perceive as a victory and a success over Allah standing on the steps of the White House.
Do you agree with that, Sudi?
Well, yeah, Sean, I have to tell you, I'm Muslim, and I say that 30, 40 times a day in my prayers, and I served, I believe, with honor, and there are many Muslims who look upon the Taliban as our enemy. I do believe this private served with dishonor and should be tried for treason, and ultimately his father probably radicalized him, no different than the mother of the Boston bomber radicalized her son, as we saw in her interviews. So we have to be careful in that this passage simply means in God's name, which many Muslims say, but certainly if you look at the totality of what this father and his son have said, it is an Islamist narrative that's anti-American. There was nothing in his statement that, what was most offensive, I found nothing in his statement pro-American, about how he was proud of his son to keep America safe, liberating Afghanis. It was an Islamist narrative about how basically, lending a nod that Afghans are victims of American soldiers, etc. There's no doubt. I don't care if this guy's a Muslim or not, or his father's Muslim. They were part of the Islamist narrative. I have no idea how he was allowed to don a uniform. It's because we don't have an Islamist filter in giving people security clearances and uniforms.
I'm interested, Brigitte, why are you disagreeing with what Zuhdi Jasser is saying? Either this is the war cry of Allah, or is it used by the radical Islamists as their war cry of Allah, and do you think that the father is radicalized? At one point he actually said, I know my son is not speaking English very well, so let me speak either Arabic or Pushta. There's some disagreement as to what that is. I mean,
Al-Fatiha, which is the prayer that Zuhdi referred to, that he prays multiple times a day, is the opening Fatiha. Every Muslim prays a few times a day, declaring Allah's greatness. What you have to recognize about Islam, it's a political ideology wrapped in religion. So Osama bin Laden and the other radicals who pray in the name of Allah say the same exact prayers that Zuhdi said. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Rabbil Alameen, Maliki Yawmiddin, Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. It's the same prayers. Now, Zuhdi in his mind has reformed his religion, and Zuhdi served our country honorably, loves this country, and would do anything to protect this country and will never betray it. However, the radicals who say the same prayers look at the religion itself very differently than Zuhdi does. They look at the religion exactly the way Prophet Muhammad practiced it, the authentic Islam,
you think the father
as Prophet Muhammad saw it.
And you think the father interpreted it that way and purposely said that in the Rose Garden, and it was sending a message? And the president, you can see the president smiling there as he says it.
I'm not sure. I do not know that the father is a Muslim. I don't think he is. I think the father recited words that he really did not understand the ramification and the meaning behind his words and how the enemy will perceive his words.
All right, we got to run. Real quick, Zuhdi, because we got to run.
Well, even beyond simply the passage itself is the fact that he identified the Islamic Emirate and has basically been part of that narrative. And if we're going to defeat that, we have to expand it to have filters for Islamism and not mix that with Islam, the faith.
Thank you both. And coming up, Dr. Mark Siegel from our Fox News Medical